Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. As always, I'm never sure how. Wait, hang on. Hello, everyone. Good morning, at least for me. Welcome to uh, another Patreon AMA thing. This is a bonus Patreon AMA thing because I'm changing the time zone system thingy so more people can be included. I see that the hang on. There we go, much clearer. I just woke up. So um we'll see how that goes. um if you're new to the format, the way this works is basically you can ask me pretty much any question that you can think of and I will try to answer it. If there are no questions in the chat, then I will take questions from a Google document file that I have, which basically contain questions that I've collected from people asking me on Twitter, people asking me on in my Discord, people asking me stuff on Curious Cat, things like that. So if you don't want to ask questions, that's fine. Like there's no pressure. But questions in the chat take precedent. They take priority. Oh God, this is the earliest stream I've ever done in my life because I literally woke up like 10 minutes ago. So we'll see how that goes. I was planning on making tea during this. But that's not happening right now. Let's. Oh God. This is good though. This is good. It's good for me to wake up. I never know to ask about this sort of thing. That's fine. Like you don't have to. Like there's no pressure really. Like The only thing like yeah, that's why I have the Google document, because and I got used to using that because when I started out using Patreon, because I've always had these kinds of this reward, right, where people can ask me questions, and I do a bi-monthly ask me anything thing, and I did that when I had like 6 subscribers, 6 patrons basically, um, which means that because of that I didn't really get a lot of questions. Oh, didn't expect you to make a special stream. You're crazy. Thank you. No, it's good. It's like 9. It's 9 a.m. here right now for me, which actually includes more people apparently than I thought. Which is pretty good actually. I'm really happy about that. We have 5 people watching, which is more than I expected. Hi everyone. Welcome. I'm gonna kick off with probably I'm gonna kick off with the Curious Cat. A couple of questions there. Let's see. There's a couple of questions that aren't really questions, so I want to keep this like actual, like serious questions that I can talk about. Like I have one person asking me if I like cats or dogs most. I like cats most because that's who I am. Okay, from top to bottom. Okay. God, my vision is kind of blurred. Apparently, there we go. That's a lot better. That I can see how everything looks. Question number 1. I'm not gonna number these questions. I don't know why I did that. Will you be my Valentine? This question comes in from a couple of days ago. Yes. I'm currently married to, I think, around like 380 people on Twitter. So if you want me to be your Valentine, go ahead. Like in practicality, I'm also pretty single. So if anyone wants to like tell their parents or like their friends, like no, I have a Valentine. Yeah, he just lives in Sweden and does YouTube videos. You can do that. That's fine with me. I don't mind. Oh god, I have to wait. Hang on. Much better. We can no longer be friends. I forgot what I said before. I'm so okay. This is good though. This is the first time I do this. This is the first time I'm actually doing this kind of thing, right? This is the first time I'm actually like doing that. We can no longer be friends. What did I do? I forgot. I'm sorry. Oh, that I like cats. Maybe. Sorry. The second question. Oh man, your new video was a doozy, but I loved it so much. Thank you so much. Oh, that's not even a question. Thank you. This is a good question. Any recommendations for getting started making video essays? I've been wanting to tackle presenting extreme lefty topics for a wider audience. I want to show more centristy types that things like full prison abolition are actually feasible and better for society. That's a good question, actually. That's kind of where I started out, having this idea that like there are things that I say, there are things that I think that I can present to a larger audience, and I can like educate in a way, because it's a form of education. It's not like, I think when we talk about educational YouTube channels, we talk about like Crash Course and SciShow and Kurzgesagt, stuff like things like that. But like ideological education is also a thing. And I think that's kind of where I started out. Are there any recommendations to get started? Like, first of all, I don't think that I'm the best person to do this because I started out doing these kinds of short video. Like my first video ever was me sitting in a small room and kind of ranting about like the alt-right with a really bad script talking about like their fashion sense. And I think I made like 6 or 7 videos, and I never really got anywhere with my channel, and then I took a break for like almost a year. And I hadn't like 7 videos, and I hadn't reached 1,000 subscribers, which is actually pretty normal. Most people don't reach 1,000 subscribers within 6 videos, right? But then I came back and I started doing other content. Like I did longer videos. I did things that, and then my channel fucking exploded. But that basically means that first of all, I don't really know what I'm doing. And second of all, I don't really know why my content has exploded, so to say. I don't really know why, like what it is that I have been doing that makes people want to see me now. But if you want to just, I think the best way to start doing it though is just to start doing it, because eventually you become more comfortable with it. Like when I started out, right, my audio quality was awful, my video quality was awful, and I wasn't really comfortable in front of the camera either, and that you could tell. But now, something that I see in a lot of the feedback that I get is that people say that no, yeah, I get better, and you do. But the only way to get better is to start making it. So like if you have a web camera and like a shitty microphone, like that's enough. Like that is enough to do it, because after a while you will become comfortable using that in order to do things. So that's just the video quality aspect of it. But you can get that from anywhere, right? I think the meat of the question is if it comes like from the ideological standpoint, presenting extreme lefty topics for a wider audience. My suggestion there would be not to label it. And just talk about the topic itself. That would be my specific suggestion. Others will probably give you completely different answers. But I found, especially after I came back, that if I didn't label my beliefs and if I didn't label my ideas and just talked about like the topics themselves and wouldn't really label them as anything, then people would have an easier time digesting what I was saying. So like if I talk about neo-Nordicism, for example, in my Sweden video, which I like. It's the least popular one of since I came back, but I like it. Like if I had labeled that as specifically being anti-fascist or specifically being labeled like anti-white people as a concept, I don't think people would have like fully embraced that as much. But because I specified it so extremely narrowly into like neo-Nordicism, which is something that very few people identify with, that makes it easier for them to kind of distance themselves from the topic, which makes it easier for them to absorb the knowledge. And I like that. I think like that's just for me though. That's like other people will probably say like, no, you should definitely label yourself so people know where you are. But I think I don't think that's a good idea. But that's literally just my idea. I came because you talked about something different that was still largely aligned with the sort of thing I'm interested in. Yeah, I think like that's kind of like the idea, right? Like you want to find your take on everything, and that's not necessarily meaning that you should deliver a hot take. It's just that it's your take. So I talk about like neo-Nordicism, and I talked about like passing in my latest video, and like anti-intellectualism, which not a ton of people have talked about, but a lot of people compare me to ContraPoints in that regard, right? Like that we both kind of talk about ideologies. But a lot of people also say that like my ideas aren't the same as ContraPoints, even though we talk in like similar fashion thing. We don't really talk about the same things, and because yeah, basically, if you find something unique, like a unique way to talk about things, then that's I think that's the best. I think that's the most practical way of going around something. Okay, I'm gonna move on because I'm not gonna rant too much. I'm also gonna keep this stream as well as the one later today for like I'm gonna keep that for like an hour, probably like 90 minutes to be fair. So that because I'm doing 2 streams today, and I'm gonna keep it a bit chill today for myself. Exactly, yeah. There are a billion channels out there talking about Trump. Anti-intellectualism is something new. Yeah, exactly. Like even like for my next video, right? I'm gonna talk about nationalism. And like a lot of people have talked about nationalism, but they haven't really talked about it. Like at least in my opinion. Like when people talk about nationalism, they usually, in my opinion, refer to like, okay, they refer to Donald Trump, and they say that like, okay, Hitler was a nationalist, and they kind of leave it at that. But that's not really like an in-depth analysis of what the term means. And so like when I'm gonna talk about it, because I haven't recorded it yet, I'm gonna I'm gonna dig into the history of it, and I'm gonna like deconstruct political labels a little bit, and I'm gonna like use the topic that other people are talking about, but kind of push it slightly more. And I think that's also the thing, like, because anti-intellectualism, like I can talk about flat earthers, because a billion people are talking about flat earthers. That's really popular to like dunk on at the moment. But I like to think that my anti-intellectualism video is kind of like you take that and you take it one step further. Like you dig into the background of it a bit. And if you can do that, then I think that's good. Okay, next question. What is my favorite period of history? Or rather, what is your favorite period of history? Because it's a question directed to me. My favorite period of history is like the 19th century, after the revolutions of 1848, leading up to leading up to like 1945. 1945 specifically is where my field ends, and I kind of don't like the Cold War. I don't like talking about. I don't like the Cold War. I don't like the 18th century, and I don't like the revolutions of then. I like the liberal revolutions of 1848. I like that a lot. Now I don't like, for example, the Nazis rise to power, but it is historically fascinating. It's historically fascinating to study and ideologically like rich. Even though the even though the 19th century was kind of laying the bedrock for the worst chapters of human history. Um, that's also why I find it like extremely fascinating, because it's a period in history where, like, more than ever before, people are kind of talking about you know, abolition of slavery, like the freedom of individuality, freedom of like voting, freedom against absolute rule, like working towards like the like basic democracies, working towards laying the foundations of things like socialism, things like that. And I really find it interesting that that's like a huge part of specifically European history in the 19th century. But then, like 50 years later, it's all gone. And I find that incredibly fascinating. How even in its time, how these like huge movements to like impose democracy just failed in so many places. Um, but it's still like the bedrock of modern Western democracies, even though they failed, which I find it like extremely fascinating, because the only place in the world where the liberal revolutions worked was in France, inspired by, for example, the American revolutions. Kind of, it's not really a liberal democracy in the same way. Um, and like British parliamentarism, or whatever it's called. Um, and yeah, and I find it fascinating, and I find it fascinating that like the modern political landscape is kind of defined by the liberal democracy. Despite when they started out, they absolutely failed, and they only really took root because of two world wars, and that like certain specific powers were liberal democracies, like France, like the French Empire, um, and America, obviously. If you can define that as a liberal democracy, which in some cases you can't. It's also like really fascinating from like a medical standpoint, because that's when people that is when people start to like really get into doing experiment. Because that is when people get into start doing experiments, and psychologists start talking to people and not just thinking about them. Like they actually like do things to try to confirm um their theories. It's not just think about it a lot, having a good theory. They actually try to like do things with it, which ideologically is fascinating. I'm gonna jump into another question from there. And if you want to, you can always like interrupt these videos with my rants with more questions. That's fine. Um, that just means that I'm gonna try to like round off my answers a bit quicker so I can include more questions. Sorry, by the way, for being a bit worse. I'm kind of parched actually, so I might go away for a cup of tea and then come back. But we'll see. I'm gonna try to go for an hour at least, and then if I can last an hour, that's gonna be the stream, I think. But I'm gonna jump into an adjacent question from there, which is: are liberals left wing or right wing? This is really interesting. So I'm gonna touch on this in my video about nationalism. I'm gonna touch on it, but I'm not gonna dig into it a lot. But I'm gonna touch on it because it's important. So because of these, like, what a liberal is, right? So when people talk about liberal revolutions, if they're European, which they mostly are, they're gonna talk about them as like being staunchly anti-monarchist, being like more like decentralizing power, implementing democracy, not just like in politics but at the workplace, which sounds like very socialist ideas, like proto-socialism kind of. But modern liberalism, for example, is mostly economic. It's not really, it's not as personal anymore. At least at least within Europe. But when you talk to an American, for example, and because it's like decentralizing the economy and things like that, they are mostly seen as right wing, because that's kind of what the right wing likes to do, like decentralizing and deregulating industries and making opening up freedom and stuff like that for economic ventures, which is something that the liberals of like 1848 wanted too, but they just wanted it to be like, yeah, we shouldn't pay taxes to the king, maybe we should pay taxes to the people instead, which would like be a deregulation and decentralizing. But if you talk to an American, for example, the word liberal is still very much connected to the left, or like the the left alternative, which is the Democrats. And there are two explanations for this. Either it's because like the entire like political overtone in the American political system has shifted so far to the right that classic liberalism is kind of on the left in proportion to right-wing extreme conservatism. That's one theory. Another theory is that like the American political system was kind of like properly established in like the early 1800s. That like when that's when the political parties kind of started taking shape. That's kind of when, and that's also when like the states kind of started, like most of them anyway, started like becoming part of it, especially after the Civil War. So the word liberal there kind of has always had the same meaning, basically meaning that's like individual, the choices of the individual, and but not just the individual, like freedom from, the freedom of the individual, but like at the cost of everything. I'm having a hard time to explain this. Like the people, rather than specifically rich people. Rather than individual rich people, which is kind of like this old-timey liberalism. But it's not really what liberal means these days. So the term has kind of shifted. Which is why Australia's Conservative Party called themselves the Liberal Party. Yeah, exactly. Like, the word liberal, because it's kind of so vague, because the concept of liberalism is kind of vague, talking about individual liberty basically, but because at its core it's just basically anti-monarchism, that people should have their own decisions over their lives and not the king. It has basically like taking a different form depending on where you start. Either you can talk about like a form of like socialist liberalism where the people have the power and not just like rich people or the aristocracy. Or you can really like take it like, no, like, yeah, normal people should have the power, including like rich people, not like just being anti-monarchist. But that's also why we have like the term republican and like republicanism, which is kind of an offshoot of liberalism. Classically, anyway. Like, I'm talking like things that only mattered like 100 years ago, 150 years ago even. almost 200 years ago in some cases. So it's hard for like, so like, are liberals left wing or right wing? They're like, they're neither, and they're both, depending on what the kind of policies that the individual party does these days. uh, it just goes back to a common point that I have, that we need to like massively have basically a reboot of political labeling. So when people talk about like liberals, the term liberal comes with so much baggage that it's impossible to discern anything from it anymore. So you can talk about a liberal party in Sweden compared to a liberal party in America compared to a liberal party in, for example, Australia. And they could have like, all of them could have like radically different types of policies. That wouldn't necessarily even be connected to each other, because that's just the way. Because the label for them has like evolved its own course, and it's still very valid for them. It's still like historically accurate for them, because that's how the term has evolved for them. But because the term is almost 200 years old, there is no unified meaning behind it anymore, and the term and the political labeling as such has then become like outdated. So, the classical sense, they would be considered left wing, I guess. Um, but in like the modern sense, they could be considered right wing. Like the real problem is that this term comes from an historical age when left and right wing didn't really matter. Like this comes from a time when the modern view of what left and right means didn't really exist. Like left wing today usually means socialist. Right wing today usually means conservative. The term liberal doesn't really fit into that dichotomy. But like originally, the right wing would be the upper house, basically talking about basically representing the nobles, the aristocracy, the upper classes, and the left wing would be the lower classes, which would lower classes, like obviously middle class, because the real poor people in 1848 didn't really have like the capital to engage in politics anyway, but like the middle class, like the quote unquote normal people, not kings and dukes and shit. And that would be the left wing. That would be like the liberals. And so in the traditional sense, you could call them left wing. But that's it. But that comes from an age when like the left wing was like, maybe democracy is a good thing, and the right wing was like, maybe aristocracy is a good thing, and like neo feudalism is a good thing. So it's like we need to revamp either we need to revamp the political labels that we use, or we need to come up with another like spectrum to describe political ideologies, because left wing right wing doesn't work. Uh, the uh, the square one, where it's like anarchism in one corner and like Stalinism in one corner, and you have like anarcho-capitalism in one corner, and you have like Nazism in the fourth corner. That's better, but that's still like incredibly reductionist and really ignores a lot of like nuances in politics, and I don't like it that much actually. In that case, I kind of prefer the left right wing, because that's the square spectrum kind of like mm, separates a lot of political ideologies that are more closely related to each other, like puts some ideologies closer to like their ideological opposites than their ideological allies, and it doesn't really make sense sometimes. Oh god. Good morning, by the way. Um, how are people feeling? While I go find another question. Oh God, let's see. Fox Starflare from the Discord. Also, the final collapse of monarchism and feudalism, and it being replaced by industrial capitalism in the first half of the 20th century. Yeah, like yeah, that's incredible. That's incredibly relevant to when talking about like the environment that liberalism exists within. Because like suddenly the old world of basically having by the landlord actually being the lord of the land is not as relevant anymore, and the landlord now is someone who it's just a rich person who owns the place you live in the city while you work in a factory, and that's an incredibly new social dynamic. Full, just had pizza. Hell yeah. Good morning. Most is still sleepy. Yeah. Welcome to the club. Thankfully, I am gonna have a. Yeah, I should talk about that too. Uh, basically, my audience keeps growing. Every single day, I get a new patron on average every 3 days, which is really good. Really good for my economy. It's really good for my life. I am living like the best life currently. I'm not financially positive, but like things are going fucking well, and I like all things considered, I probably will be like making a life profit. Like I will actually like start making savings soon, like really soon, within like a month or two. So my life is pretty good. But the point is, anyway, my audience keeps growing, and I want to make sure that all of my fans are seen and that they feel included. I don't want anyone to feel left out. And that's why I'm going to have one of my two Patreon AMA streams be in, like, I'm gonna have like, the one in the morning and one in the evening for me anyway, so that I can include at least like one half of the globe at once, so that people won't have to stay up until like 4 a.m. to see a stream of mine. Because as my audience grows, that will increasingly become an issue. And I also realized yesterday when I shared my my Pokemon Go thing and people started sending me gifts, that I have fans fucking all over the world, which is really cool. But it does also make me want to like include people more, so that more people can watch the streams live, so more people can take part, stuff like that. And because I have two Patreon AMA streams per month, I'm going to alternate them. But today I'm going to have two because I came up with a system like at the beginning of the month, and I didn't want to like remove a stream. So I'm gonna have a stream right now, obviously, and I'm gonna have a stream in about 10 hours as well, at 8 o'clock CET as well, which is a standard time. I don't sleep much, and that's okay. Sure, but I have other fans in Australia too, and like New Zealand. I figured I got a lot of like Pokemon Go gifts from Indonesia, which is really nice. According to my analytics, I get more views from India and Indonesia than I get from Sweden, which is something that I didn't really expect. But since I speak in English for this, it's fine. But basically, yeah, I'm gonna have a like an alternating time system so that more people can feel included. That's basically the point. Do I not have more questions? Are you a part of LeftTube now? I am. I like to consider that I am. I don't like the term LeftTube super much because I kind of find it like kind of simplifying things a lot. But like if you like part of like okay, I'm a part of the community now. I would say I am. Like I'm in a lot more contact with other creators. I'm working like I feel confident like reaching out for collaborations now, which I definitely wasn't before. Um, I feel comfortable like sending like big names on YouTube, like not like big names on YouTube, like people who have millions of subscribers and stuff, but like people who are like in the political discourse community on YouTube. I feel comfortable like sending them DMs on Twitter. I feel comfortable like doing things like that. I find that like I think that's really cool. It's easier to say than not angry white man YouTube. Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, you know what I mean. And yeah, I would say that. I still I do this thing which is not really good for me, where I basically like search my name. I search for my name on different on different platforms because I'm one of the few people in like the political discourse community that um that use my real name. They like use my name because you have like ContraPoints, which is a brand name kind of. You have H Bomber Guy, which is like okay, that's that's an alias, right? You have Bad Mouse Productions. You have Three Arrows. You have things like that. Like not a lot of people like use their actual names. It's basically like Riley J Dennis, but Riley J does more vloggy content than like political discourse content. So does that count? Kind of, not really. So that's kind of. So anyway, so the point is anyway that I basically Google my name on like Reddit and stuff like that, and what I see is I see people who talk about me in a positive way and in also in like a way that feels in a way that like feels that I'm not seen as just some rando person. I'm actually seen as like as a creator, and that's really nice. I've also had some people on Twitter be like fangirling at me when I tweet something and they answer, and then I answer them, and they go like, "Oh my god, oh my god, I'm like fangirling so much. I love you so much." And it's like, okay, but like I should post on Twitter, and I don't get that. But that's probably just gonna get worse. So I would say that I'm definitely part of the community, but like I'm still a minor voice in it, and I'm kind of happy that way actually. Like if I was as big as ContraPoints, which would be really neat. I'm not saying that I don't want to grow, because I definitely want to grow. I really want to get a big audience. But but if I had a super big audience, I think that I would probably be overwhelmed more than anything else. I think I have a cold. What are some saws? Okay, I'm moving on to another question. What are some lesser known YouTubers you like that are around your own size? So what I've seen people refer to my channel as and like other channel as are like mid level creators. So you have like in the community you have like the holy trinity of ContraPoints, Sean, H Bomb, and then you have like the big names like Three Arrows and Bad Mass Productions and things like that. And then you have people who are just starting out, who have like, you know, less than 1,000 subscribers, maybe get like a couple of hundred views per video, where I was a long time. Which is it's a good place to be, but it's like it starts to feel stagnated after a while, unfortunately. So some people that I like. Let's see who I like. I like Curio is fun. I don't want to like miss anyone out. Just kind of like Curio is fun. They're good. They're one of their latest videos, like called Alt-Right Date Night, Curio Volume 2 Essay 2, is pretty fun. I remember talking to Curio a lot on Discord about like, because they wanted to use a scene where I pour syrup on my face on it, and I was really happy about that scene. It was really funny. I was happy to be included in that. And then we have, let's see. I suppose check. PD Moran is a good Irish boy. Does like Irish leftist content. It's really good. I think he works as like an English teacher or something. One of his latest is called Brocialists. Let's talk feminism. It's really good. It talks about yeah, it talks about like basically like feminism from the perspective of like a dude socialist, like a brocialist. And I think it's a really good insight, not just for like dudes who want to like, you know, dude leftists who sometimes think that feminism is kind of like a distraction, because he talks about that, but it also talks about like things. It's a good perspective for me as well, because it's like an insight into how like other like venues of leftism are, and that's good. The brochure video is also pretty long. No, not long. Like it's pretty popular so far, compared to like their other videos, but they're pretty good. He hasn't been in the game super long, but he'll get there. Let's see. I'm not sure there are many others that I like that I can think of like on the top of my head, but I know that there are a lot of others that I like. Angie Speaks is pretty good. Not gonna comment on the drama that has been going on for like the last couple of times, but you know, as content, it's pretty good. The what's it called? Like social media can be a clout game or something. Yeah, that's a pretty good. I'd recommend Juice Media for people not in the not in Australia. I've heard of Juice Media. I know people have recommended that to me. Oh, then obviously like I like Riley J Dennis. Riley is a bit like larger than I am in terms of audience, but like per video view, we are comparable. He's a bit larger than I am though. But you know how it is. I recommended it to you. That's fair. I know, like, I've seen it from other people though. No, I've seen Juice Media. Fuck. No, I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen this around. Now that I'm googling it and I can see it. I know I've seen something that you've sent me, but I know I've seen this on. I think I've seen this on Reddit. Also. Yeah, I can recommend Juice Media as well. The Juice Media is pretty good. Really good content. Okay, I'm gonna move on to another question. But yeah, the Juice Media is pretty good. There are others that I can think of, but I can't really think of like direct ones right now. There are a couple of like other. I know I'm fucking collaborating with one. Zara Zedig is pretty good also on the channel. Let's talk about stuff. I mention her stuff in my latest. That's pretty good. Her video on transitioning is pretty good. I don't agree with her on many levels. I think our views on like gender and sexuality are very different. But I like her, and I think she has good insight, and I think she has like valuable knowledge. I just think that my views on it are better. But that's just me. Navarro Media is also good. It's British. I think it's got Ash Sakar. Is that her name? Sarkar, yeah. She basically she was the one who talked to Piers Morgan and basically said, "I'm literally a communist." But she does this thing on Novara Media, and it's pretty good. I remember H-Man was there. Maybe a broader question. Do you have any ideas on religion? Or more specifically, I often hear people talking about religion as non-scientific. Any thoughts on that? I think religion is very non-scientific, but I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, there's like, okay. So I think religion has, because I'm kind of religious. I'm not an atheist. I don't want to define myself as an atheist. Because I'm not, because I believe in a higher power. But that's just me. I think that religion sometimes can be seen as unscientific, but I think, but I think it is. But I think that in our kind of like modern secular society, we kind of look down on things that aren't based in. Goddamn. I might have a cold actually. Fuck. So I might cut the stream as an hour, which it should be. I'm only promising an hour, but they usually go on for like 2 or 3. So today is probably going to be 1 hour. Anyway, we value things. God damn. Yeah, I have a cold, I think. That's fun. We'll see if it clears up by the stream later tonight. Okay, the point is, we value like secular society a lot in our modern society, and I think that's a really good thing. I think that's really nice. I think that's good. I think we should organize our societies in a very secular way. But it has also led us to kind of value like science on its own, not necessarily as a way to like forward humanity and make people feel better. I think we just value science as science for the sake of science. And I mentioned this. I don't dig into it, and I kind of regret that I didn't in my video on anti-intellectualism. Because while the right wing talks a lot about like how to organize things based on facts and not facts and logic instead of feelings. The entire like overtone of Western society basically is like and societies that have been like forced to adopt like Western values have this view on society that things should be based in science and not anything else. But that also like disregards a lot of things, right? Because then we start to get into things like why are we doing things in the first place, right? Because we want people to feel good. That is why we do society. That is why we do things. If we only do things, if we only like do politics in order to like increase profitability or to increase even just to like even like ostensibly good things, like if even just to like reduce the number of deaths or like do that, right? We cannot lose track of why we're alive in the first place, because that's that this is the kind of logic that drives people to to revoke money from arts funding to put into like engineering programs. Okay. But why do we have engineering programs? Like, why do we need more engineers? Why do we need more programmers? And currently, it's because the market demands it, and because profit demands it, and because some very important aspects of our lives demand it. But that's not why that's not why we have those systems in the first place. We have those systems in order to live a good life, in order to live like a happy life. Like some people, I'm reminded of the scene in the Dead Poet Society, right? Where the Robin Williams character goes around and says like in the classroom that engineering, math, science, and they're very noble pursuits and they're very like good things, and some people like probably like find a lot of joy and like emotional nourishment in that, and I think that's good. I think people should do that, and they're very noble ventures. But that's not why we do society, to do those things. We don't do society in order to create an infinite amount of computer software programs. We don't do society so we can build more bridges. We do society so that we can be happy. And that's why we have things like poetry and art and things like that, because people find that fun too. And not just that. I don't want to sound like a classist asshole. And like that's why we have video games and football and like stadiums and snacks, things like that. And we know that, right? We all know that on some level, and that's why we still work to protect arts funding and things like that from the monotone machine that is capitalism. So religion, then, I think, comes into like not all entertainment is for everyone, right? Like video games are good for a lot of people, and they're not good for everyone, and like interests change over time. So like some people can do a thing for a while, and then they can do that. And not just for entertainment, like not just like for fun, but like for like emotional nourishment. And I think that's important. I think that's an important distinction. Like to feel emotionally charged, if that makes sense. So religion then. I think not everyone needs that. Not everyone like feel this a good thing, and religion has been used for like a very bad things, based on very unscientific grounds, and I grant you that. And I think that religion, as a way to structure our society, is a very very bad thing. But I also think structuring our society based on like profit margins are also a really really bad thing, and like lead. I think any way to structure our society that doesn't focus on the pragmatic good of all people is a good thing, because religion, I'm gonna say, like, I think religion is a good thing for me. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like emotionally charged. It makes me feel like secure, kind of. That makes sense. Content. But I like, and like, and that makes sense, right? You think that, but if I were to structure society around that, then people would be excluded from that because not everyone feels like I do, and that's why you have things like, you know, the like. That's why I have things like religious wars and things like that. And that's why I say pragmatic good of all people, which includes like a plurality of emotional nourishment. Which means, you know, in the ideal society, you can basically do whatever the fuck you want. Like you can have religion if you want it. You can become an engineer if you want to. You can do art if you want to. None of these things are, of course, mutually exclusive, but you know what I mean. And I think in like modern society, I think we kind of ignore that sometimes. I think we kind of ignore that religion has a very like nourishing part and like a very nourishing like influence on a lot of people. But I also think that like a lot of people like overvalue the role of religion in their lives. Like they base their entire life on it, and I think that's bad. But that, like, you would say that about anything, right? You wouldn't base your entire life around. If you based your entire life around a theater, that would be bad for you. And you wouldn't want to base society around theater, for example, right? Obviously. So I think it's an aspect of our lives. But I don't think it should be more than that. But I say that as a Swede. And Swedish people are like one of the most atheist people in the world, outside of like states where, like, communist states where atheism is like the law. So I think North Korea is like the most atheist country in the world, and then Sweden comes in as like number 3 or something. So I know that I come from a position where society is very like secular and very secularly organized, and I can have my religion and I can do that and I can practice it however I want, and it doesn't impact anyone else, and it's for my own personal nourishment and stuff like that. But I know that in other countries, religion has a more like oppressive effect, and a more like enforcing effect on people. But I can't really talk about that because I have no idea what that's like. I can't even imagine what that is like, because I don't know how that is. I have, like, you know, I have a lot of friends who come from like very Christian countries or like very Muslim countries, but I have no fucking idea how their relationship with religion is at all. Also, I definitely have a cold because I'm completely stuffed nose right now. Build metaphorical bridges. Yes. Well, you can sit at home streaming YouTube. Like, that's basically what I do. Like, I used to, like, yeah, that's basically what I do. Either I stream YouTube or I make YouTube. That's what I do now. That's my life. That's my emotional nourishment. I say that I say that I'm religious and I say that I practice my religion, but I'm a bad follower of my religion. I don't pray. I don't do the things that I'm supposed to do. But then again, I don't feel a need to, because I'm not really part of an organized religion. And I'm not going to talk about that much more because I don't want to talk about that much. After a while, people want to find out like what specific religion I follow and like what specifically I do, and some onion soup for yourself. Oh fuck. Well, make onion soup. I'm probably gonna go buy some onion soup, to be fair. Well, I'm gonna make breakfast because I made this before breakfast. I'm gonna make some good tea. Strawberry tea. Have some sandwiches with caviar because I'm a filthy, filthy Swede. And then I'm probably gonna have a nap. And then after the nap, I'm gonna have another stream. But that's fine. Thankfully, I am my own boss, and I can postpone anything I ever want whenever I do. What the fuck is a Windaloo? Oh, it's a curry. Swedes, okay. This is something that I meant. This is something that I noticed. Swedes do not have that. Swedes have a lot of Kurdish food, and we have Turkish food, like Greek and like Baltic food. We have that. And like that, but that's basically the most exotic food that we have like en masse, right? Like I could probably find curry in the town I live in if I went looking. But like that's like a big point. Like because I was talking to a British friend, and they basically have curry places everywhere. Like curry is basically like pizza. Um, and I say that in a way that like I think because I've been to the UK and I've been to like other countries, and like they talk about, I talk about like, oh yeah, that's like, oh, you have like curry or like stuff like that, like we have like we have kebab or pizza places. I'm like, no, and everyone goes like, no, we also have kebab, we also have pizza places. But then then you look at like how much they have, and it's like, oh, you have like this big city and you have like 3 pizzerias and like a kebab place. And it's like, no. Sweden has, I swear to God, a pizza place in like at least 3 pizza places per neighborhood, like a pizza place per block. It's full of pizza places, and they all do kebab. All of them do kebab. It's like kebab slash pizza place. All of them. And it's great. I love it. Like I remember being in fucking London, like a big city, and I was like, hey, we should get some kebab. And we had to like actually like actively look for it. You don't have to do that in Sweden. Like you can basically just like open your eyes and like look for like 5 minutes, and then you will just see a kebab place materialize in front of your eyes. Because Sweden has a bunch of kebab places and I love it. But we don't have any curry. We don't have any like, we have like some Chinese, but like it's Swedish Chinese, which is not the same thing as like, because that's the fun thing, right? Because okay, I'm gonna do a rant here. This is not in regards to a question, but I'm gonna rant about it anyway. All Swedish Chinese food comes from one dude. It's one guy who came here from China. I think it was like in the 70s or something, and he opened up a food of Chinese food, like a Chinese restaurant. But he basically just made up his own food. It wasn't like at all like authentic Chinese. And I know that no Chinese place in the world has like authentic Chinese. But he just made up his own shit. But then a bunch of other Chinese places started opening up in Sweden too, because his restaurant was really, really popular, and they all copied that restaurant, and then they all copied each other. So when I go to a Chinese place in Sweden, for example, they have all the same dishes as they do. But if I go to a Chinese place in like the UK, for example, they have radically different food than a Chinese place in Stockholm. Or like if I go to like anywhere else, but if I go to a Chinese place in London, or if I go to a Chinese place in Berlin, or if I go to a Chinese place in Paris, or in like anywhere in Europe, for example, I've only been in Europe. They all have the same thing. But if I go to Swedish Chinese places, it's just different. It's curd piece of lukewarm Chinese here. And makes some onion soup with ginger, chili flakes. Oh god, fuck. Silly little nose, how dare you? I think do you have like, I think I talked about this on Twitter, where people like think that some people thought that I was like 5'2" or something like that. Like that was pretty short, because apparently I give off like short vibes. First of all, I'm the tallest person you ever met, almost guaranteed. And also, like, when you say cute little nose, like, my face is pretty big because I'm pretty tall. I'm a big person. Um, so like this nose is like it's pretty up there. Like, you know this. Cute little nose. How dare you? Silly little. I don't think there's a style of cooking I can't find a quality version where I live. Port cities. Love port cities. Yeah. Like, I think. Yeah, Sweden doesn't really have that because our port cities are like, yeah, cool, I can connect to Russia. Or like Finland, which has the same food that we do. Thanks to the Swedish Empire. British curries are somewhat similar to, from my understanding. Japanese curry rice versus the actual in the curry I had last week. Okay. Considering that my nose is closing up, I'm going to say maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna cut the stream because it's been fun. I want to do this again. I'm definitely gonna do this again with like early morning streams. Yeah, I like the concept. I'm just getting started with it now, so I'm kind of like tired because I usually don't get up this early in the morning because I don't have to. Uh, but I'm probably gonna do this more. I'm hoping to get it to start doing these at 8 instead of at 9, so an hour earlier than I did now. Uh, Simply because that will that would drag me up from bed earlier, and I need that. Early morning suits me. Yeah, that's kind of what I want though. Like I wanna like today I stayed in bed too late, until like 10 minutes before I should start streaming, and I didn't want that. I want to. The ideal thing I want to do here is I want to have this thing where like I make a cup of tea, make a little bit of breakfast, get all cozy, and then I answer questions, and then I do stuff like this. And then that means I would be not as like mind-blowingly tired, and it's just a nice look, cozy fun, cozy fun. And then 2 weeks later or 2 weeks before, I do the thing where I think I guess it's both, right? Because I do these like every 2 weeks. So 2 weeks later and 2 weeks before, I'll do late late night hang, and that'll be nice. But if you have any breakfast with me, yeah, that's kind of what I want this to be, and I was kind of hoping today would be that, but I decided to stay in bed the final minutes, which is my fault. But I'm hoping this can be that. I'm gonna I should update that too. For next month, I'm gonna like in a week probably I'm gonna post that. In a week, I'm gonna post the next timetable for streams and for basically just like doing for streams and stream times and calendar things. But then I'm also going to I'm gonna have like the times put out properly. I definitely have a cold. So yeah, we'll see. I might put in like an extra Patreon AMA at like an extra time next month too. But we'll see how that goes, depending on how my life is. But the goal is like, yeah, I want a breakfast. I basically just want a breakfast to hang. It'd be fun. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and I will try to answer them as quick as I can. That'll be fun. And then I'm gonna go have some tea and make some sandwiches. And I'm gonna watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine for like an hour. And then I'm gonna try to shoot this vlog, but I was hoping to do a vlog today. Because I've shot like 4 vlogs. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that too. I'm gonna rant about that for a while. I have a new phone, which I really love a lot. It's really good. Thank you so much for allowing me to like afford this with your support. And so basically, you know, I made a vlog with my old phone, and then it died, and I call it Soft Start. It's on this channel, so you can go watch it if you want to. It's non-content though. It's not like my big videos, and I have dedicated myself to like I will only spend like an hour or an hour and a half at most on a vlog, like to limit the work that I do, so I don't like push myself too far, and also because I don't want the vlogs to be regular content. I want them to be just like, hey, this is kind of bonus things. Like if you like my content, if you like me, you can go watch the vlogs, and it's like an insight into my life. But it's not something that I want to do a lot of effort into. And I've been wanting to do that for a while, but I haven't really gotten. Like I've always had other things to do, and because I don't want to put effort in the vlogs, it's always been like last priority. So I was gonna do it today between the streams, but now I have a cold, so we'll see. Noin. Lightning round. Yeah, I tried to have a lightning round, but putting people on the spot to come up with questions doesn't seem to be working. Fuck. God damn. Yeah, I 100% have a cold. Fucking hell. Which phone? I have a Huawei P20. Specifically a Huawei P20 Twilight. Which is... Hang on, I'm just gonna remove the cover thingies. So it's... this thing. Hey, that's you! That's the webcam. That's my computer. And this is my messy room. Sexy. It is very sexy. I got it. I got it used. But it was also on sale, and I think the reason why it was on sale is because the same week that I bought it was the same week that Huawei was in the phone was in like total crisis in the news. Like I think they're like one of their CEOs had gotten like arrested in America, and like a lot of countries were banning them because of security issues, and because of that, like sale. So that's nice. So I got it used and on sale. So it's like it's like a mid-level phone. Usually they cost around like $600, but I managed to get like mine for like $400. But I can do it on monthly payments without interest, which is great because it's like I don't lose any money on it. Like I can pay it like per month, which is really good for my budget. But I don't have to pay extra, which is great because I don't lose anything by doing that. So it's just like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. It's a great deal. So basically, I have 3 years to pay this phone for a fairly cheap price, and I only have to pay like $20 a month for it. And you know, I've got to be done within those 3 years, but I can pay less than $20 if I want to. I think I can pay like $10 a month if I want to. Like I have some variability there, but I'm gonna pay $20 a month so I can pay off the phone faster. Their CFO was arrested by Canadian authorities on extradition order to the US. Yeah, like yeah, America doesn't seem to be liking Huawei that much, but like I looked up at a bunch of like tech blogs because I was like, oh, I don't like security issues. I don't want the Chinese government to know everything about me. But then I went to a bunch of tech blogs and like tech people, and it's like they couldn't find anything. Like they couldn't find any security issues. Like the American government hadn't like told anything about what the security issues were. So it seems like it's all just political bullshit. At least in my opinion. It's really interesting though because when I got the phone, like a lot of like the apps thingies are like really Chinese, which is fun. Oh, look at that! The nighttime photo mode is amazing. I haven't tried that yet, actually. I've tried a lot of things though. Like most of the selfies that like all of the selfies I've taken recently have been with this phone. I'm really happy with this phone, considering that my last phone just flat out died. Like the battery would not charge anymore, which is like, okay, well, I need a phone to pay my bills. So that sucks. If you can't find any ready soups, then I recommend vegetable stock. Maybe some beans in it. Oh, I do have some. I do have some good vegetable stock. It's to do with a 5G individual role, infrastructure role, not individual consumers. Yeah, that's what I imagined. But like I heard things about like the phones too. Like people told me like don't get a Huawei because of the phones. Like seems like bullshit. So I didn't care. Plus, I'm a YouTuber. Like I use YouTube. Like I'm a YouTuber and I use like different. I use like a bunch of social media. Like if the Chinese government wants to know something about me, they can do that. It's not like I'm off the grid. My job is being online. Like they know everything about me. Like I'm not gonna be able to hide anything. Like, what am I gonna do? Like oh no, they're in trouble here too, but our government is literally trying to mandate backdoor encryption. Yeah, like that's the dumbest thing though. Like when people talk shit about like I think China is a shitty state. I don't like China as a state. I think they're really awful. But like some like it really shows a light on like Western like propaganda when they go like, oh, the Chinese monitor their citizens. Like we do that too. Like you're proud of it. Like Sweden, like Western countries are proud of doing that shit. Like, are you kidding me? Fucking hell, it's getting worse. Some chocolate as well. It's important to stay happy when you're sick. Yes. I'm probably gonna drink some tea though. I have a bunch of cookies. So that's good. I'm using Samsung, but thinking of switching just for the camera. The camera is fucking amazing. The this camera in the front is really good. This is just a normal P20. I didn't get the P20 Pro. The P20 Pro is like really, really good. But it costs a couple of $100 extra. But it's apparently like infinitely better. And I wanted to get that first, but it's too expensive. And I figured that as long as my Patreon keeps growing, eventually I will pay off this phone. And if my Patreon keeps growing, I will have more money, and then I can just get the P20 Pro or like the P30 Pro when that comes out. And then I can have the best photo, and then I can have the best phone in the world, and then I can live a life of luxury, thanks to Patreon payments. It's not gonna happen though. Like I'm gonna live cheaply forever because it's better for me, and I'm gonna give away most of my money to like charities and shit. I'm too much of a lefty to become a capitalist. I do have a penchant for luxury though, so we'll see how much I'm gonna be able to resist. Well, like how is China? Yeah, like how is China gonna use my info more than Google or Facebook? Yeah, like except like I have a Facebook account. When people like that's another thing. When people talk about like social capital, like the social points thing that they have like that some areas in China potentially are trying out, maybe like Western propaganda. Like I think the system is really really dumb and really like Orwellian. Like Western propaganda is really making that out to be much worse than it is. Like it's bad, but it's not as bad as like Western media is portraying it to be. Because like at some point it's like, yeah, that's basically just like it's like Twitter, kind of, right? Or like that's YouTube's community guideline system. Like 3 strikes and you're out unless you obey the rules of the YouTube platform. Like you could easily twist that to be like similar things. Like it's bad, obviously, because of the government doing it, like, obviously. But like, fucking hell, get some perspective. I don't like China. I want to make that sure. I want to make that clear. I don't think China's a bad country. A woman can do. She's having caviar for lunch. That's Swedish caviar is not luxury though. Swedish caviar is like really seen as like low tier, low tier beta, low T beta. Sheepo caviar. Yeah, I also have the cheapest one, mixed with egg. A woman can dream. I can. Nice things that last. Exactly. Yeah. Like, I try to buy things that last because that's cheaper for me. Because I've been poor. I'm still poor. But like half a year ago, for example, I was really fucking poor, and I don't want to experience that again. I would recommend lime black white. Imagine mud cake. Wow, mud cake covered in white chocolate. Jesus. Quantifying social capital is the ultimate end of neoliberalism. Like, I'm surprised that like credit scores, like, don't credit scores kind of already do this in some Western countries? Where it's like if you live in a certain area, your credit score kind of goes down. Like you're not your social credit score, like your actual credit score that you use to buy things. Like people talk shit about like social credit score. Like I don't have a credit score anymore because I'm trans. And Sweden had that. Not because they want to, because it's a systemic error. Like that's another issue. Mixed with egg. Egg, yeah, it's like, this is gonna sound really, really awful, but you have to keep in mind that I'm very white. um, Basically, it's caviar. This is fish egg paste, mixed with mayonnaise, basically. Yeah, it's caviar mixed with mayonnaise. You have that on a sandwich. It's really good. And if you really want to like piss off God, you can like put egg on your sandwich and then put the caviar mayo mix on the egg. But that makes God cry. I'll have to make you an Australian care package so you too can experience the majesty that is Vegemite. Yes! That's actually like, okay. One final point before I quit. Once I make enough money on Patreon to like support myself, like, you know, to pay rent, bills, stuff like that, which I'm really fucking close to be able to do. So don't worry, you don't have to like, I don't want to make anyone feel like they have to do anything. Like I'm getting there. I think my next video on nationalism, if it keeps up with the pattern, I think I'm gonna be like budget neutral with my next video. So that's really happy. But once I make enough money, it's a little bit of money beyond that. Before I start like going into savings, I'm gonna get a PO box. I really have a cold. I'm gonna get a PO box so people can do that shit if they want to. And also because I want to have a yeah, I also just want a place where I can have my mail that isn't like in the apartment. That's for my own reasons. I'm sorry, what? It sounds incredibly rich. It is incredibly rich. Or you could buy Kalles randiga banan. Kalles randiga banan. It's caviar with bananas in a tube. That's awful. Why would PO Box is smart. I think PO Box is nice. Like I really want a PO Box, mostly for personal reasons because, like, to be honest, like I have less than 10,000 subscribers. It is I don't expect people to send me things. I don't. I'm also gonna set up an Amazon wish list thing. I don't want to support Amazon at all, but like Amazon wish lists seem to be the best place to do those things. And there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, so. But I don't want to use that as an excuse to use it. Anyway, I'll find out a way to I'll find a good excuse to use. But in that case, I want people to be able to like do that in the future at least, if they want to. Like I don't want to make anyone feel like they have to. I just want to make feel everyone like happy, but like also. I have had experiences with like rich people who have like way too much money. Like, okay, this is a story. Okay, wait, I'm gonna tell you a story. In the very early days of my modeling, I did art modeling, which basically was that like I was part of like art exhibits rather than fashion shows, right? And I had a small fan base of like art people who like really liked me because I was trans and I was androgynous and I was very tall and I was kind of gangly, which is really like fun in art modeling. And that's basically when I experienced like a life of luxury. Basically, I lived like a rich person because the people who were my fans were rich people. And I didn't have a lot of them, but they were a few, and they were rich in Stockholm. And I remember saying one day, I think there was like, yeah, I was in a store with a friend. And was like, and I saw a sweater that cost like $150. A sweater for $150. I was like, oh, and I was like, I was never gonna buy it. I was never gonna buy anything in that store. But I was like, oh, I really like this sweater, and they just bought it for me because like that amount of money for rich people isn't relevant for rich people. And they just bought it for me, and I still have that sweater. It broke unfortunately after like 10 uses, which is like the shittiest quality for the most expensive piece of clothing that I own. But like, anyway, the point is that like if I ever encounter like rich people again who want to give me stuff, then I want to do that. And considering that I kind of want to start, like, if I ever start making like serious bank on YouTube, I want to start up something like the marginalized creators fund or something like that, right? Where money that I earn or people that want to like be part of the network or whatever, they donate money into like a fund that would just give money to marginalized like people of like any kind, if they want to do like if they want to be creators of any kind. So if they consider like a disabled woodworker or something, and they need like money for tools, and like, yeah, I guess you have it. Like they can send in an application and they can like have it depending on their need and depending on like the cost and stuff. And I want that. And that way, I figure that it's okay for me to like ask for things, because the more things that I have, the more things can go into the fund. Eventually, anyway. Don't worry, I'm still gonna work on my own savings. You can smile.amazon. What the fuck is smile.amazon? Amazon Smile. Amazon donates 0.5% of the price of your eligible $7 to the charitable donation of your choice. That's cool. It's like, it's better Amazon. Not a lot, but like it's better. That's good, I guess. 0.5%. I mean, that's better than 0. That's an even better idea. I have a detente with Amazon. They're really valuable to the closet trans community. They are like, Amazon is like, that's the thing though, right? With capitalism, it's like, it's a really good service. It just sucks that it's one of the biggest corporations on the globe. Like, what I want would be for Amazon to be like worker owned, because that would just be better. That would be like easy employment for a lot of people with like good benefits, good hours, good wages, and a great service. But no, instead we have to have like this fucking capitalist structure where Jeff Bezos earns everything. That store probably paid $10 to $15 wholesale for that sweater. Probably. Like, that's the awful thing too. Like, goddamn. Also, I hate modeling a lot. I hate the industry, and I'm never going back. But like, I kind of miss. I miss Gucci. I never owned anything Gucci. I never could afford that. But like when like. And I never had it on runaways either, but and I never did it on photo shoots either. But like it was like in the wardrobe sometimes for like when we did events, because sometimes they would hire models to go out and just be at parties and stuff like that, just to attract clientele. Basically just living advertisement. They would also give you free drinks, and you would go around, be pretty, and people would buy you drinks, and that would be like your job. It's a bad job. But then I could wear Gucci. It was really good. It was really nice. But I'm never gonna wear it again because it's like the awful thing. So like, if there's a socialist Gucci out there, let me know. I want to do the same thing for video games. I don't know about, but it's slightly less shit. I mean, yeah, like I kind of want to make a video game company one day. Because I'm like, when I'm not making videos and when I'm not doing things, I'm currently learning Unity, and I want, I want to release a game someday. I want to do that. I want to make video games. But I would want it to be like where, like, sure, maybe the organizational structure is different, depending on like things, right? So that things, because they'll operate in a capitalist world, like the ownership and payment and like wages and stuff like that would like be more fairly distributed among people and wouldn't just necessarily go to me if I owned it. I don't want that. Like, I feel like you can make better video games if everyone like worked together. Send you a key to the failure of my game. I remember to send you a key to whatever game I make. I agree on working on businesses moving towards a common structure. I think yeah, I think collectives, like collective workplaces are just like, I think it's a good way to survive in like the current system. Okay, so I remember reading about this like a couple of while ago. So there was a business somewhere that was owned by like a cereal company or something, and the business just shut. The company just died. And they sold the factory like to, I think like to some like shell corporation that didn't really want to do anything with it, and they just left it. But the workers kept coming to work. They just kept doing it. They just made their own cereal, and then they sold it, and then like distributed the wage among themselves. And I'm like, yes, I admire that so much. And I don't remember where this happened. I want to hear more stories about that. Gaming co-op, yes. Well, I mean, we live in a service economy right now, right? So like when you make products, like, yeah. Let's make a better Fallout than Bethesda. I really, really want to make a Fallout game. That's not even that's not even a joke. Like, I desperately want in Unity to make a Fallout-ish game. Like, desperately I want to do that. But I like first of all I have to make some shitty 2D platformers or something, so I learn how Unity works. But I desperately want to make an RPG style, a post-apocalyptic RPG thing. Desperately want to do that. I'm reading a really good book on this called The Zero Marginal Cost Society. I mean, yeah, like we can do that. We can do that as a society. It's just an ideological thing. It's a monumentally huge project. Oh yeah, of course it is. Like I'm not thinking ever of doing that myself. Or if I do that myself, it's gonna be like pixel based or something like that. It would be cool to see a Fallout, but the bombs came down in the 80s. Oh my god, this is the best idea. Holy shit. Oh my god. Hang on. Sorry, I'm writing that down. I'm stealing that. Why didn't I think of that? That's amazing. Yeah. Fallout, but 80s. Shit. Oh my god. As always, hit me for unit stuff. I will. Like, I'm currently doing Senma tutorials, and I'm trying to just finish the tutorial things. It's basically a course, and when I do that course, when I finish that course, I will have like a couple of like basic game prototypes, and I will have like a fair bit of knowledge. I will try to make like a prototype from that. But at that point, I will be pretty much free from tutorials, and at that point, I will probably hit you up for like, help me. I don't know how code works. I don't know code that much. I want to see Fallout in any country that isn't the US. Yes. I've always wanted to make like a Swedish post-apocalyptic thing. There is a game called Krater, which is pretty good. But that's more like a brawler than anything else. Like a party-based brawler. It's not really an RPG. It is an RPG, but it's like a brawl. Oh boy. Okay, I need to stop soon. Well, with Bethesda resources, you could probably make it all of Europe. Yes. Wouldn't that be the better games though? Shit, that's true. Swedish post-apocalyptic game is called Half-Life 2. We don't know where Half-Life 2 takes place. Maybe in Sweden, but not really. Maybe. Might. I know the gas pumps has Swedish currency on it, which is interesting. But I think Half-Life 2 takes place in like a very like fantastical version of our world, where Sweden is weird because it's clearly not Swedish architecture. Although that's a good thing actually. That's a fun fact for everyone. Like it could actually be Swedish architecture. But like if you want to, if you play Half-Life 2 again, like that entire game could take place in Sweden. And like because everything just kind of looks like Sweden. Kind of. But like the gas pumps they have Swedish currency on them. And Sweden's the only place that has Swedish currency. It's not like the US dollar, which is used like fucking everywhere, or like the euro. Like it's a Swedish crown. The Australian one is just Mad Max. I love Mad Max though. I really want like okay, this is a game idea that I want to make. I'm gonna quit the stream soon, by the way. Sorry. But like this is a game idea I want to make. I want to make Mad Max VR. Because why wouldn't you make Mad Max VR? like a lot of VR games are just like, okay, a lot of VR games are best when you sit down and you shoot things. So why wouldn't you make like a driving thing? I guess driving in VR is like the worst, I guess, but like you could probably make that work somehow, right? Like you drive with one hand, you shoot with the other, and you like fight with the other, and you have to drive and fight off war boys at the same time. Like how is that not already a thing? Mad Max VR would just be my drive to work. How is Australia? I remember watching like Mad Max 1 with my dad, and he was telling me like this is basically just how Australia is like. Post-apocalyptic space western. Stop reading my books. I have a short story that's post-apocalyptic space western. Firefly isn't post-apocalyptic though. Oh fucking hell, my nose. Can you do post-apocalyptic space? Okay, stop going into my... Someone is hacking me. I have a short story that I kind of want to make into a novel one day, which is literally post-apocalyptic space. Basically, the premise of this novel is, and I'm going to end on this, so I'm not going to answer anything after this. Well, if something comes up, I'm probably going to answer it. Like, I'm not going to rant more. So I have a short story that is basically that like humanity like reaches the stars or whatever and like goes into everything, but like something funky happens. So like all so like okay, so like all planetary societies are kind of dependent on like space infrastructure for like energy needs, right? Like solar power and like space elevators and shit like that. And like everything is on, but something happened like galaxy wide that kind of fucks with all technology, which destroys all kind of space infrastructure, which also makes every spaceship go bad, and people die inside because that you need to breathe. But also like the infrastructure that maintains like planetary energy needs and stuff like that also collapses, which means that like fission reactors on the planets also go haywire and destroy the blow up the planet. No, not blow up the planets, but you know what I mean. Like they destroy apocalyptic events on like all colonized world. That's the idea. However, and then the plot basically is the place from like this what the fuck is it called? Like from like it's like a space geologist perspective, a space archaeologist perspective. Sorry, and it's basically just been like on some like remote world that's not really doesn't really have like a power system. It's not even an outpost, and like she's far away from her ship, and all she has is like very primitive technology because she likes that. And then this happens. And then she survives because of this, and she basically manages to like scavenge up like some old ass like big spaceship in her archaeology, because that's what she's digging up. That's not affected by it, and she can launch that into space, and she's on it, but she's alone, and it's a big ship. And then like basically the plot revolves around like her finding out like what happened, and maybe and finding other people, and like restarting a sort of society. And I wrote that's a short story that I wrote. But it isn't Swedish, and I never finished it, and I should probably do that actually, because I really like the premise of it. But that is at least in my mind, how you would make space apocalyptic space fiction. You might really enjoy reading Kim Stanley Robinson. What is that? Kim Stanley. Oh, I've heard of this. Red Mars. Yeah, it's Red Mars, Blue Mars, Green Mars, Blue Mars. Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah. I haven't read it though, unfortunately. Have you read much Neil Stevenson? I haven't because I don't know who that is. I'm gonna have to look at like covers of the books because I don't really remember. All? I have no idea who this is. I'm sorry. I really need to read more though. Like more fiction. Like I really need to like read more fiction. I don't read that much fiction. Fortunately. Like I've been stuck in academia for so long that I basically just read like academic literature and it sucks. I wanna read fiction again. I love the Mars trilogy. Ooh. There's adjunct history fiction. Ooh. That can be fun. Okay. Gang, this has been fun, but I really need to quit it. I've been streaming now for almost 2 hours, which is more than I expected, but it's good. But I also do have a major cold, and I do need to like get some breakfast inside of me and eat that. So I'm gonna stop now. Possibly have a Cryptonomicon over the rucksack. Yeah, the Cryptonomicon seemed cool. I'm probably gonna check that out actually. Seems nice. Whenever I do these streams, I get reading suggestions, and I love it. I love you all. Thank you so much for like reading material for me, because I do need more reading material because I read more than I play games now, and I need to read more fiction. I'm like I'm not lost in the sauce, so to speak. Go put stuff on your Amazon wishlist. I will sooner or later. Maybe not today though. We'll see. Okay, thank you so much. I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna make some tea. And if you want more streams, I will stream in about 9 hours at 8 20:00 CET. I will have another stream. That is the normal time that I usually do these Patreon AMA streams. And I will do basically all of this again, but I won't answer the same questions obviously, but I've saved a few questions, so I have like a couple at least for later today, and I'm probably gonna dig up some more questions. This was fun though. I'm gonna do this again though, because doing this in the morning is really good for my health, and I really want to do that. Okay, I'm gonna go away now. Hang on. Really good for my health, and I really want to do that. Okay, I'm gonna go away now. Hang on. Really good for my health, and I really want to do that. Okay, I'm gonna go away now. Really good for my health. And I